The siren wails, and seconds later, the first of several cluster bomb strikes rips down the street. Each a collection of mini explosions, saturating the air with killer shrapnel. The people of Nagorno-Karabakh's capital, Stepanakert, have suffered multiple rocket and artillery attacks in recent weeks. International charity The Halo Trust is here to keep track and prepare for its teams to come and remove explosive debris when the fighting dies down. The danger is that anyone could pick them up, either because they don't recognize the latest weapons or because they want to move them out of the city, which is exactly what's happened here.
Thailand rolled back their emergency decree on Thursday that aimed to shut down months of protests against the government and the monarchy. When the government issued the ban that took effect 1 week ago, it in fact inflamed demonstrators even more, as tens of thousands spilled onto the streets of Bangkok. As of 12 p.m, the measures that include bans on political gatherings of 5 people or more and publishing of news that could affect security will be lifted. The government statement said the reason for the move was because, quote, the current violent situation that led to the announcement of the severe situation has eased and ended to a situation in which government officials and state agencies can enforce the regular laws.
Almost every morning, Mohammed Ghazi takes his boat out to fish, but these days there's nothing to catch, and the serene surface of the water belies the toxic danger that lurks beneath. Thousands of dead fish washed up in this canal at the beginning of this month. 2 weeks on, remnants of what Mohammed says was an unprecedented environmental disaster can still be found. The irrigation canal feeds into Razaza Lake in Kerbala province, and other communities downstream have also reported significant fatalities among their fish stock. For community elders, the culprit is clear. They accuse the local government of dumping sewage into the river. The incident coincided with the annual religious pilgrimage to the nearby holy city of Kerbala, which draws millions of visitors every year. Similar, though less severe, cases of contamination occurred during previous years, also around the time of the pilgrimage.
Argentine Naval Prefecture, Coast Guard, captured 2 Chinese vessels that were fishing illegally in Argentine Atlantic waters, near Chubut Province, south, on October 20, after the security force fired intimidating shots, the institution informed on October 21. Coast Guard GC-26 Thompson from Argentine Naval Prefecture, PNA, captured the 2 Chinese-flagged vessels that were fishing illegally within the exclusive economic zone, 200 maritime miles, equivalent to 370.4 kilometers, from the outside territorial sea border, and both were carrying a total of 10 tons of frozen squid, the organization said in a statement. Both fishing vessels were detected at about 249 miles in deep Atlantic waters, at the level of the touristic city of Puerto Madryn, in the province of Chubut, 933 miles south of Buenos Aires, the report added.
Posing an environmental threat in the Caribbean, an oil spill crisis is unfolding in the Gulf of Paria. A Venezuelan floating oil facility under repair is the Nabarima floating storage and offloading, which is dangerously tilting between the island of Trinidad and the coast of Venezuela. The oil tanker contains over 1 million barrels of oil and is now at risk of capsizing in the Gulf of Paria. The crude-laden vessel at the incline has raised concerns about possible environmental hazards. The oil tanker is operated by the Petrosecure joint venture between Venezuelan state oil company Petróleos de Venezuela and Italy's Eni. Petrosecure suspended output shortly after Washington sanctioned PDVSA in January of 2019. About 1.3 million barrels of Coroco crude have remained stuck on the vessel, which is located in the Paria Gulf between Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago.
4 former senior government officials have been arrested in connection with tender fraud amounting to 1.2 million rand. All of this dates back about 3 years. The accused were employees in the Gauteng Health Department. They've been granted bail in the specialised commercial crimes court sitting in that magistrates court. The matter postponed until the 3rd of December.
Well, certainly, Jeremy, as you've alluded to in that intro of yours, these were 4 former senior officials within the Gauteng Health Department that have been brought before the court regarding that 1.2 billion rand project. We do know that it also implicates the former health MEC at the time, Brian Hlongwa, in wrongdoing stemming, of course, from an investigation by the SIU which was carried out. It was released in 2017, and also pointing to the fact that the former MEC was included in some of the dodgy deals and also received some kickbacks from that project, which included a 7 million rand house that was bought for him, and also luxury trips as well as spas, trips to spas being chauffeured by limousines.
The United Kingdom has announced a $63 million funding for millions of Rohingya refugees living in Bangladesh after fleeing a brutal military crackdown in Myanmar. Britain's Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab announced the $63 million aid at the UN conference. Raab and other civil rights groups urged countries to not forget the plight and misery of the world's largest persecuted group. He said, and I quote, "Today I urge the world not to turn away from the Rohingyas' suffering and to take the action necessary to allow them to safely return to the homes that they fled in terror."
In a historic move, Pope Francis is supporting civil unions for same-sex couples. The Jesuit cleric made the comments in an upcoming documentary. It is a break with the traditional position of the Roman Catholic Church. The pontiff has taken a more tolerant stance toward the LGBTQ+ community since his papacy began in 2013. The Pope called on nations to create laws to protect those couples, saying gay people have a right to be in a family. Official church teaching still calls homosexual acts, quote, intrinsically disordered.
Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro has said that his government will not be buying a Chinese coronavirus vaccine a day after the country's health ministry has said that it would be included in the nationwide immunization program. Bolsonaro said that the health minister Eduardo Pazuello's statement was misunderstood and that Brazil will not buy Chinese firm Sinovac's vaccine as it was expensive. He said that there was also no scientific evidence to show that the vaccine will be effective. Earlier, in a meeting with the state governors, the Brazilian health minister said that the government would buy the Sinovac vaccine along with the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine.